Okay. Well, hopefully I got you some of your interest with the first painting we did, our first layer of the painting that we started. I got a lot to go on today. We're going to I'm hoping we can make this like a 3-session painting. What we're going to do is just come back in here and we're going to just add in some darks, just kind of line some things up, and then start adding some trees in the background, a little more detail on the grass, a little more detail on the inside of the barn, the trees. My dog, Kevin, is going to come in here and sit with me. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to open up the palette. I didn't put this in the refrigerator last night. If you're going to be painting like every day, no need to really put it in the refrigerator. I'm going to take out the paintbrush that I put in here yesterday, and it is still wet, damp to the touch. So I'm going to take and just put a little bit of mist over the paint, and we're going to end up swapping up some paintbrushes today too. We're not going to just be using the number 6 paintbrush. So let's get started here. And first things first, let's go ahead and get my brush cleaned off. I don't like paint all over my hands, so I do the best I can to keep it off of my hands. First thing we're going to do is going to come in here, redarken. It's just kind of like the way I like to keep going back to the dark, just to start bringing the contrast back and forth. So I'm going to grab some of my ultramarine blue, some of the burnt umber, which makes probably one of the best blacks I can think of. And again, I got the curdled paint going on in here. Okay, I'm going to add a touch of dioxazine purple. All right, I think that's going to be about good enough to get going. And let's just start over here. So start on this side. Sometimes you come in and touch with your hand. I always like to start on my left side and come in. Don't always do it. Don't always end up with clean hands, but I try. Again, scrubbing, and pull down, pull away from the edge that you want. And I'm gonna come in here and use my hand again. And just using my hand like this and just resting my finger on the canvas board helps to steady my hand. Get all one of those older people things I've got going on is I have a tendency to be a little shaky now and then. Anyway, here we go. Paint doesn't have to be mixed perfect again. You're going to mix a lot of it up here. But we need to get this blocked back in again, get it darker. Still a little bit more blue because I can see a lot of brown coming through. And I did change the position of where I'm looking. I showed the video to my wife yesterday, and she goes, "Why am I looking up your nose?" Okay, all right, I'll move the camera. I don't know, I haven't done this on YouTube a lot. I've done some YouTube stuff with my wife on RVing channel we've got called Sputter Veers for fun. I like the editing part, believe it or not. It's kind of a pain, but I do like doing it. All right, you can see that's pretty dark. I'm gonna grab a touch of water, a little bit more of the blue, a little touch more of the brown. Now I'm gonna come over here and start to be a little more careful now about where we go, because I want a line across here. And then I want, this is a pretty fine line in between the, there we go. Like I said yesterday, this is where you can start to touch up and refine some of the edge work. Again, though, you don't want like a masking tape perfect. You want a little bit of character in there. There we go. And then come back over here, scrub in this line. These buildings are so cool back there. We did drive around. I drug my wife all over the place and my dogs, looking at old barns and buildings. I just think they're cool. A lot of history in some of them. All right, so that part, we got that done. Now, look how dark that looks. Isn't that good? Still got a little more work to do over here. I'm going to come back in on the bottom side of the awning or the corrugated roof. And again, I'm going to pull in the same angle I was using before. Now you can see I left a little bit of white just to kind of indicate the building. I try and cover that up a little bit today. There you go. Pull at the angle that the material more than likely is laying. Helpful. Okay, now one of the tricks I'm going to do is, since there's not a lot of paint, I'll take some of the paint off the brush here. And I'm going to come vertical to cover up those white bits of canvas I still have showing. But you can see how it kind of dropped a little cast shadow. That's going to be important later on. I'm going to come back over here. We'll get this section done again. That's a lot of work with the acrylic painting, actually, is the going over paint you've already put down, because acrylic dries a couple shades darker than when you put it on. It loses its vibrancy a lot, and I'll show you how to do a little bit of that and get the paint a little more vibrant. I don't use any additives to my paint. There's material that will slow the drying process, all that. Once you learn how to deal with acrylic paints and what to do to get them to look like a professional painting, you've got it made in the shade. All right, again, I'm going to pull down just to get the canvas covered. Scrub right on that line, but I'm going to scrub vertically. And this won't be a heavy shadow because this whole side of the building is actually already in shadow. Nice and dark in there. I'm probably going to take a little bit of this dark while I've got it on my brush, and I'm going to come in underneath the truck. Wheel well is dark. Underneath you can see the shadow, and I think, how far past the door are we? Probably about like that. Yeah. A little bit of a cast shadow underneath the truck. All right, I'm liking that part of it. And then lastly, while I still have this dark on my brush, I'm going to add a touch of dioxazine purple with that brown mix, or that black mix. Come back down here. This area, I certainly want to have this real dark corner. So I'm going to just kind of feed that in, get another layer there. There we go. All right, that is all I'm after at this point. Take and clean out the paint from my brush. And does this thing, yeah, all right, gotta make sure they're still on. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I'm gonna clean out the brush. Now, I wanna come back in here and add some more trees. And you don't wanna cover up all this that you've got going on. But I do want to have some darker, richer tones. So I'll come back down here to where I had the dark green for the grass down here. Add some more Hooker's green. Add some burnt sienna. A little bit of purple. A little more burnt sienna. The burnt sienna will kind of gray this a little bit. And a little more purple. Just a touch of the gesso. A little more green, purple. And we'll add some orange and some warmer colors in here as we go too, but let's see if we can get away with still using this brush. So I want, let's say, I kind of want a different tree. Like this. I know I want a tree to come up over here. So I'm just gonna kind of indicate where I want a tree to be growing along this edge of the building and coming down this side. But I don't want to lose everything I've got done in the back. We'll come back in here with a smaller brush and make this. That's probably one of the weakest things I am at making is trees. And that's okay. Everybody's got something they're really good at doing, something that it's a pain in the butt and they don't quite have it dialed in, but that's where it gives you opportunity to practice. I want that super dark in the middle. Yeah. And if you see these trees back there, some of them are almost fern-like. I don't know what they are. I honestly don't know what the trees are. But I got to come in here. I also have a back window. Again, here's it really important that you pull down where the truck is going to be, because you don't want, when you're making a real fine line like we're going to be making, you don't want your brush to be skipping over, creating a difficult area to put the truck color in, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I know this has a window back here, and there is the A-pillar. Yeah, okay. Now, back of the truck. And make these come out. Interesting negative space. There's negative space everywhere in here. Do I want to put, yeah, I think I do want to put some color in here and bring this out some too. We'll put a tree coming right down. And we'll come back here and put in some actual tree trunks, branches, things like that. But I want this to be relatively dark. In the back of this truck, there's that, this was at a winery, obviously, the truck was, and I kind of like the barrel in the back of the truck, was kind of cool. I don't know if I'll put it in on this one or not. I want this to be dark in here because the truck is going to be bright. So let's get this as dark as we can through here. And you put your trees where you want to put them. You don't have to place them exactly. If you think my trees are wrong, place your trees somewhere that you think is right. Don't. Oh, this stupid camera. It's hot. Maybe I should unplug it. Dang, camera keeps going out. I think it's just getting too hot and I can't quite figure out why. Okay. That's the first underpainting of the darker stage. Good color to come in here, add some more dark. Might as well use up what I can. All right, I think that will take care of the second coat of the background. I want this to kind of hang over the edge of the building, so I'm going to darken it up a little bit more. All right, I am good with that. Dark in the corner or on the side, the eye stopper part. Don't just make a big green blob. Look at all the dabble marks, different variations of viscosity or thickness of the paint make a big difference in what a painting looks like when you stand back from it. Okay, I'll clean this brush out. The sky, I think I'm going to leave the sky pretty much the way it is. I just wanted a background, and I think it's fine. I covered up the canvas. I think it looks decent enough. And so now what I want to do is let's put our first layer of wood on the building. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come into just a light pile. This is the background, these background trees. This is the color right here. And I'm going to add ultramarine blue. And I'm going to add some burnt umber. I kind of want I want kind of a dark grayish blue. I think this is the same blue, yeah. But here's the secret. See how much water I've got in my brush? I want a lot of water in the brush. I'm going to get the majority and just squeeze the paint out. Come in here, pick up the real wet paint, and I'm going to start on the left and move to the right because I'm going to use my finger as a guide. And that might not be light enough. I don't think it is. But let's get it put on there anyway. I think I need a little bit more gesso. A little more water. Fan it out. There we go. That's about the width of wood. End up doing this a few times before we have this. Now here's an area I'm just going to take and smear that down. There we go. You don't want to leave that hard start point. So what I do is I just start going and skimming until I'm fully pushing with firmness on the brush. And a little more gesso. But it's thin. So there we go. But notice I'm using my finger on the canvas to rest it. And if I started the other way, I'd just be smearing everything I did. It might be difficult to see on camera. I don't know this doesn't look like much, but once you, I don't know. Oh my goodness. Well, let's just paint for a minute and leave that one off. What is going on? Don't worry, be happy. Okay, you're starting to get an idea of what I'll come back over here. Now I do have to put my finger in paint I've already done, but again, since I live here, it's Africa hot. Get that loose bristle off of there. And the edge, I'll make that a little bit different soon. There. Now we're starting to see, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull a little bit this down from the actual edge, because I've got a good indication now of where I like the shadow the way it was, but this does need a little bit more color and coverage underneath here. So I'll go ahead and add that in. Now, something really fun. This same mixture, I'm going to go ahead and change brushes. Having issues. All right. More issues working with technology and being a painter are 7 different things. Okay, let's try this again. So we put just a coat on the outside of the barn, and now we're going to switch brushes. I think normally I can use a couple of brushes, but let's just get started with, this is a number 4 bristle brush. Top tip is to use, when you're using these bristle brushes, the longer you keep them in water, it seems the better they work. A lot of people take these brushes dry and then just start working with them dry. The paint will suck right into the brush, and then it becomes sticky and it's difficult to work with. So same pile as we used on the outside of the building, but here's what we're gonna do. So let's just pretend that maybe inside here there's an old, what do you call it? Just some wood, a place where they store material, something like that. And this has got, again, a lot of water in it. And I let it blur into the background. Now it looks like there's a place, a little fenced in area or a gated area for something. I think this looks pretty cool. I'm gonna smear one more in there. Finger, by the way, is your best paintbrush. Now, since this is gonna need to be darkened one more time, I'm gonna jump over, I'm gonna set this brush, get it soaking wet, set it over there. Since I had to try and fix my cameras, I had to put my paintbrushes up. Okay, I'm gonna come back here now and get, that needs to be darker. So I gotta get that in there. Again, just not enough there yet. And this will be like the 3rd time I've gone over it, as well as cleaning my brush out there. Burnt umber, ultramarine blue, touch of purple, not really mixed well. There we go. Now you can see it. Get it covered this time. And don't worry about, go ahead and come up. There's going to be cracks in the wood. You'll see how that all works out later. But this time try and get this covered a little bit thicker. More umber, more blue. Squish that stupid curdled up burnt umber. And this one I'm not scrubbing as much. I'm actually trying to get the paint laid on so it's thick. I need this to be dark, 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 dark. More blue, more purple, more cottage burnt umber. I shouldn't say that. It's burnt umber, but it's like cottage cheese because I let it get frozen one time or another. I don't know where in Arizona. I'll come over here. I'll stay away from this edge just a little bit. I don't want that line. I'll come back and smooth out the line. And I can see where I got more purple on my brush than anything else, but that's only when it's wet. As soon as this dries, you'd be hard pressed to tell what colors are in there. All right. And now the paint's on there thick. I'll let that dry before I come in and do any more of this kind of stuff here. I will do one while I got this dark on my brush. I'm gonna do one more pulling out from my edge. Making sure I get any white dots of canvas showing, covered. I am putting the paint on thicker this time. I want this to be the final time I have to come back and hit this. And notice too, where I'm holding the paintbrush, I am not, this doesn't work well. This, honestly, you get a better looking painting when it might seem like it's more difficult to control, but honestly, you get used to painting with your brush this far away on stuff like this. When you're still doing underpainting, you're going to be much more successful just because you feel freer in your movements. And it helps you to look at the painting a little bit different as well. I'm gonna, just a little more black. I want to cover up some white I see here. Now I'm just kind of refining my edges a little bit more while I got all this dark on here. That's a fine line. This line right here, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. And this line, there we go. All right, I like that. Covering up, and then I can, since I got the dark on here, let's just take care of the dark stuff. Get it dark, dark, dark. In my opinion, the dark is really what makes a painting look good. It makes everything else stand out really well. All right, that's good. We're gonna come back, we'll add a little bit more of that interior ghosted out. You know, there's all kinds of stuff inside of barns, beams and wood, storage. Get this brush soaking wet. And now I think I want to get my number 4. This is a number 4 sable brush. Quite a bit different. They don't need to be as saturated as the bristles do when you're working with them, but you do want them to be wet. So I'm going to take this dark. I'm going to just find a spot over here with a mess in it. Lighten it up a little bit. That's too light. Now, I am going to come in here and just kind of add some tree trunks, just the biggest part of the tree trunks. We're going to add more thinner branch looking line, or you'll see. I can't explain what I'm trying to. Okay, I like that. All right. Now, while we have this brush in hand, I think we are going to start blocking in this old truck. All right, the color for the old truck. It's a really cool color. I'm going to take this brilliant blue. I'm going to take some yellow, brilliant blue, and probably a little bit of the vivid lime green. Let's see how that looks. A little more blue. This is what you got to kind of figure the truck looked like new. What color it was new. But now I'm going to draw with my paintbrush. Old truck again. And this does not have to be perfect. I just want to get this kind of blocked in. Straight down here, and I can see where I've got to add some more dark. Okay, underneath the light. Like this. Now you do notice I am holding a little bit closer. You have to when you're trying to get more detail out of your brush. And then I know I've got a space between the... And again, so it's like you're starting a whole new painting. I'm actually doing underpainting work here right now. And the bed comes up higher than that. And the back of the door. And that is actually a white top. But I'm just going to go ahead and get that filled in. And this. And you'll see we're going to add some rust. It'll look really cool. Again, the colors here were the brilliant blue, vivid lime green, cad yellow, a touch of white. Maybe a touch of the ultramarine blue too, in case my camera didn't work again. And then this is going to be, of course, down. Now I know where to put the black. Headlights are in here. Bring this down, and then I've got a bumper. The bumper looks like it was painted at the same time. Just get this blocked in. Some of the sides and the front of this will be covered with grass anyway, so. And that's a darker color. And we'll come back and make that shadow color here pretty soon. But for now, I'm not going to paint the logos or the signage on the side of the truck. I'm actually going to just make it rusted. So bring this down. Looks like how it goes. Leave this kind of mottled in here, so I know that I need to add some rust. And then there is the top of the wheel well. That's going to be bright. But this comes in here and gets dark. And then like that. And this is where you do end up talking to yourself. You have to. You don't have to, but it's fun to talk to yourself. Now I'll take this color I've got mixed up over here, add some purple to it, and this will make a really neat shadow color. Now, come over here, put in a shadow and this on the bed of the truck. Purple is probably the best shadow color you can use. Oh no, you did not shut off. I'm getting frustrated. Purple and green. That's light, but that's dark. Shadow over the lights. Shadow in between the lights. And then some cast shadows under the lights are kind of cool. Shadow on the bumper. And then one more area right underneath the hood. Doesn't look like much at the moment. I promise though it'll come around. Well, folks, technology did it to me again. I apologize, but we have to end the video there because one of my other cameras shut off and it was the main one. So I'm going to try it again. Join me on part 3 coming up next week, and we'll get back on this truck and we'll put some more detail in here. And like I said, I think we're going to end up with 4 episodes because I want to come back in and put some really super cool highlights on everything and finish this painting up. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.